Welcome to All Home Care Matters, the show where we discuss all things home care, with discussions on important age-related matters and topics. Brought to you by Enriched Life Home Care Services, the #1 rated home care provider in Michigan by Top Rated Local.
Hello, and welcome back to All Home Care Matters. If this is your first time visiting us here at the show, we want to say thank you for taking time out to be with us today. We appreciate how valuable everyone's time is, and that's why we try and make each episode here at All Home Care Matters something that will hopefully matter to you. Today, we are honored to welcome Luke Gilligan, the founder and CEO of Resense. Welcome, Luke. How are you today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Good. Thanks for being here. So, for viewers and listeners who may not be familiar with what Resense is, why don't you go through and kind of explain what Resense is all about?
Yeah. So Resense creates innovative and restorative products for individuals living with dementia, mainly engagement tools. Right now, what we have are a Connect and Comfort kit, which is an activities toolkit designed for in-care communities. And then our main product is the Resents Register, which is a dementia-friendly publication and newspaper. We are really excited just to continue working on new publications and coloring books, different forms of media to engage individuals living with dementia.
Sure. So, you're a college student, correct?
I am.
Yeah. How old are you right now, Luke?
I'm 22.
22. Okay. So, what drew a 22-year-old college student into this arena? What's your background?
Yeah. So my mother is a social worker focusing on geriatrics. And so ever since I could walk, I've been volunteering in care communities. And I vividly remember that. And when I went to high school, they told me I needed to get a job, as every high schooler does. And so I walked across the street and got a job at the local nursing home. And I started as dietary, ended up working in activities a little bit, and just got fully immersed into care with that area and those residents. And then when I turned 16 or 18, I forget, I became a respite caregiver and started to do that. And so I really have always had a passion for care, especially with the elderly. And what kind of brought me into the creating products was I went to college at the height of COVID. So we were hybrid, half and half, doing college in our dorms online or going to some classes. But I took a class, I'm an entrepreneurship major, so I'm studying business, and I took a class that is called Lean Launchpad, where we learn the lean startup method to starting a business, and it's focused on redemptive entrepreneurship. So finding a problem in the community and creating a unique way to solve it. And so I was getting calls from local care communities when I was doing some research, and then the group activities weren't happening anymore. They were isolated in their rooms, and they were trying to find ways to engage these individuals. And so that's how we started the Connect and Comfort kit, which included our original coloring books and activities. And then it kind of just sprang from there.
When you started the Connecting Comfort kit, did Resense the name? Did Resense, I want to call it Resense, was Resense already the name, or did the Comforting Connecting Kit, did that come first and then you named it Resense?
No, we started with Resense. The idea, we made up the name, it's reinvigorating the senses. So, and the idea was with the Connecting Comfort Kit, we interviewed over 100 different experts. And what we found was a very close connection between the senses and memory, specifically like smell. That's like when you smell something, the first thing that's engaged is memory. And so the idea was to create a kit that targets most of the senses. And by utilizing activities inside, it would engage the senses and increase brain health. And so we actually used it. We proved through the Connect and Comfort Kit, we were able to do testing with local care communities and case studies. And so that's how the idea of the senses came around. And then because of COVID, when that ended, the kit wasn't really necessary anymore. And we had to find new products to create. And that's when we still wanted to focus on senses and engaging the muscle memory and physical senses, and so that's how we went to the newspaper.
I would think the comforting, you know, I would think the kit would still be needed just for, families who may live in other states or can't go and see, a loved one as often, or they're in a nursing home and they're more isolated. In a lot of ways, people in nursing homes, other than being able to have visitors now, it's very much like what COVID was for a lot of people, right? Where they're kind of isolated. Do you still see people utilizing that feature or that product?
Yeah, I mean, we sell them every week, and I'm packing them, and we do see it being used a lot, especially like you said, in home.
Yeah.
I think recently I had a call with a family member. I get calls often just asking how to get engaged with their loved ones, and they love the kit idea for their grandchildren,
Right.
to be able to engage, because that's a scary conversation to have. Sometimes they don't understand what is going on, and so by providing them with 10 activities that they know will benefit from them, we have seen that being used. Yeah, so we still have it, and we're redoing it right now to make it more engaging, but that we did start to expand to other products as
Sure.
well. Just yeah.
So you said something that interests me quite a bit. So you're a business major, entrepreneurship. You talked to, the 100 experts when you were developing and putting this together. And now you're saying, people are calling you asking for advice. Have you considered doing, maybe you have you done any formal training in dementia or in this space at all? Or is it just through your experience and talking with experts and things?
It mainly has been that I have done a few certificates and just online trainings. Right now, what I'm looking at is doing a master's in gerontology. And so I got into a program in Florida. It's online, and I'm excited to be able to do that. And so hopefully that will happen in the next year or two.
Nice.
But I do really want to get more engaged with the education side of it, because I'm having to refer people more than I am actually having real conversations, because I don't want to say anything that's out of line.
Right.
But what I love is I do have a team of like 4 or 5 experts that I can always send people to, and they'll get the answers they need.
When I'm just thinking, one for obviously, and I think you touched on that, you don't want to ever, give advice and then have it come back on you, that sort of thing. But I feel like with, doing, that master's program or even the online certificates and trainings, I can imagine that would give your entrepreneurship maybe some new ideas and different angles to look at stuff that could further, propel Resense, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Every time I do a training or go to, what I love to do is I do go to conferences, if I can, and online. I joined Dementia-Friendly PA on their advisory board. And so being able to go to those meetings and just learn from doctors and experts is amazing. But I do walk away from those every time with new ideas.
New idea. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. So let's talk a little bit about the Resents Register. What exactly, how would you describe it to somebody who just walks up to you and says, Luke, what is this? How do you describe it to people?
Yeah, I describe it as a dementia-friendly engagement tool. So it is a newspaper, but is way more than that. And when I actually start to use it with customers, or when we go in every month and do activity sessions, where we get to host bingo night or something like that, and I get to bring our products and show that, I call it a tool. I think it's the best way to explain it, because it is dementia-friendly, meaning it has large font, and all of the content inside of it is nostalgic and kind of historical events revisited idea. We wanted to really use the reminiscent therapy nuance with it, and be able to use it as that engagement tool that's more than just a newspaper and opening it, but you can learn and learn about your loved ones that way.
So as a newspaper, they come out sometimes once a week, every other day. How often do you guys produce new copies?
We publish new editions every 2 weeks.
Okay. Wow. What goes into deciding what to put in there? Like, Easter's coming up. I'm sure, one of maybe the last copy or the upcoming copy probably has something maybe in there about Easter. Like, How do you guys sit down and formulate what you're going to include in that next edition?
Lots of customer feedback. I am constantly getting emails from customers. There's one lady in particular who every time she gets an edition, she sends me probably a one-page essay about what she loved, what she didn't, and then what I love is she goes, "Oh, and I was thinking about this idea to put it in," or maybe write something about Marilyn Monroe or something like that, or conversations she had with her mother, and that's super helpful. And we have about probably 20 customers every month. Whenever they get one, they send me feedback like that, and I sit around with our team and we look at it and we say, hey, this is a good theme that we could include, and then when we start to write it, we will then send it to one of our dementia experts to review it and just make sure that everything in there is correct. But yeah, I love it that I have willing customers that send it without me asking.
Right.
And it gives me honestly, our last like probably 6 editions have been fully based off of their feedback and responses.
Now, what's the paper quality? Is it like a newspaper paper, or is it like magazine quality, or how would you describe it?
It's classic newsprint. So it is the sensory. I wanted the classic experience of opening up a newspaper. So when you open it, the ink gets on your hands, everything.
Oh, wow.
And so like it's the classic newsprint that you can get, and it is also the same exact size. So when you open it, it's like you're reading a newspaper. And it is black and white. Our idea was we wanted to make this as reminiscent as possible. So anything that's maybe a nuance or something that's different, we didn't want to include that, because the idea is to bring comfort with all of our products, is bring comfort and joy and not frustration. And so I wanted to do everything that they're most familiar with. And so that's why we keep it black and white. We keep everything in there classic. It's like the same layout and everything.
How many pages is it usually?
It is 8 pages.
8 pages.
So it is probably about 7 different articles in there, and then we have a full page of puzzles and games. And so we have four different types of puzzles, all for different cognitive levels. So anyone that picks this up, it's accessible for really any cognitive level, and they can utilize one of the puzzles or all of them. And that's the kind of the idea of making it that tool is with these, you can also make it into a group activity. And we've seen, what I love is we get photos of people using it, and they turned it into a whiteboard game of like trivia and that type of thing, which is just super exciting.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but what are some other ways, or I guess feedback or things that you've received from, your customers and the people reading it, whether it's the loved one with dementia or maybe their caregiver or family member? How have you personally seen this benefiting people?
Yeah, we see it benefiting them in multiple different ways, mainly being used as a tool to learn about their loved ones.
Okay.
I think that is the biggest thing that I get calls about, or when I go into do in-person events, they come up to just say thank you for giving us a way to learn more. Because I feel like a lot of these individuals, especially grandkids, are curious about their grandparents and what their experiences in life were like. And our idea with this is to provide that opportunity to talk about their history and their experience and life well lived. And so that is one of the best benefits that we've had, is when you can read an article. For example, this one's about the glass bottles that they used to send milk in. I sat down at one of our activity sessions with a lady, and she told me a full story about how she used to live on the Strip District, and there was a pickle packaging plant that made glass bottles exactly like that. And I had no clue, but apparently she was pretty late stage and doesn't communicate often. But I was able to hear that story from her just because of a photo that was in there and being able to read the article to her. And so that's kind of how we recommend getting the most benefit out of it, is look at the articles and ask questions. Say, hey, like, here's an article about Roman mythology. Do you remember doing that in Latin school? That was another feedback that we got, is one of the mothers was like, I didn't know my mom went to Latin school until I read this article.
Wow.
Because she fully told me about Roman mythology. And yeah, it's mainly just that bringing that connection and making connections between loved ones is kind of the benefit that I see with it. Because it is beneficial of opening up that newspaper every day. It's muscle memory. I know that there's one individual who's at one of the care communities that we work with, and every time the paper gets delivered, I get a picture of it because he puts it underneath his arm and carries it around and says his paper got delivered. So he might not be reading it, but it's bringing him joy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's actually correct and interesting to see what you can learn just based off of articles and that reminiscent idea.
Absolutely. Who would you say, I'm listening to this, and just with my professional experiences with the families we serve, you see something that's helpful, supportive, and it's like it's helping the person with the dementia or whatever the need is, but it's almost equally helping the family as well. Who would you say benefits the most from Resents Register?
I say the family. I really do. The family and the care partners. It is always good to know more about the individual you're serving. And I feel like we get the most feedback that we get is from family members just saying, "Hey, I learned something today," or "I was able to hear about her history a little bit more." And I think that is amazing. We love that it's benefiting the individuals. It gives them something to do and gives them something to be engaged with. But I like that idea of making connections, and it's leaving lasting memories with the loved ones. And I think that's really important. So
that nursing home back when you were in high school, that you were in the dietary, then activities. Have you gone back to visit and bring them copies?
Oh yeah. Every time I go back home, I bring them some of our products, and I go and visit some of the residents that are still there that I used to work with, and they love the newspaper, and being able to see my name's in it because I put myself as a writer on it, and could be have bios about everyone that writes, and they were like, "You're in a newspaper," and I was like, "I made the newspaper, but yes, I am."
Is your mom still work there?
She doesn't work. She is more of now a Christian counselor at our church, but she is constant. She said she's not working anymore, but she is constantly in care communities, visiting homebound members and
Sure.
doing counseling. And they recently actually started to subscribe our entire church to the paper because of home and the members there. And
Yeah.
that was something I never thought about, but
Yeah, well, I could give you a lot of stories about that. We actually, one of our mutual friends, Lorette, she was on the show not too long ago, and some others, and we were talking all about spirituality, faith, and care, and how the two are so intertwined and connected, and how do we get our churches more involved in supporting these individuals. And so we won't go down that trail right now, but yeah, no, I fully agree with that. Now, you started Resents Register, but now you also have the Resents Foundation, Luke. What made you decide to start a foundation?
yeah. I think just from our conversation, I have a lot of conversations with care partners and family members. And one of the saddest conversations that I have often is they love our products, they love the idea of it, but they can't afford it. A lot of these care communities that I worked with, I work with their activities directors, and sometimes they can't afford products, even though they might be pretty well priced, and it's not that much. But I wanted to find an opportunity that everybody gets products or resources, because our idea with Resents is impact. I measure impact more than profits. And so we wanted to find an opportunity to do that and give resources back to the community. And so we started the Resents Foundation, which is a 501c3 fund underneath the Community Foundation in Western PA here. And the idea is just to give products and resources to communities that can't afford it. So if I get a call and they say, "Hey, we love your newspaper, can't really afford it right now," I can at least still send them some.
Okay.
So that's kind of the idea behind the foundation. And then we are launching projects underneath that as well to impact care communities similarly.
Any projects you're able to speak about now or no?
Oh, yeah. So one of the biggest ones that we're doing right now is called the Birthday Box Project. So I did a networking event in Pittsburgh, and I met the CEO of blanking on the name, but she does birthday experiences for homeless youth,
Oh, wow.
um, which is an amazing idea. Very, very cool company. And I just started talking to her, and she recognized me because of Resense, and she came up to me and said, "Hey, we get calls every day from nursing homes to host birthday experiences for their residents, but it's out of our scope, so it's not youth, and we're looking for a partner to be able to refer those individuals to." And I was like, "That's a wonderful idea." I didn't ever think about birthday celebrations in care communities. And so after doing some research, I found out that maybe most or some of the local communities around here can't afford birthday experiences, or they can afford to get like a gift here or there. But what our idea was is doing that experience. So giving them a birthday party essentially and gifts on their birthdays that it doesn't have to cost the care community anything. And so we fundraised for that. And when we launched, I put it on a Facebook group, and within the end of the day, we had 517 care communities on the
Wow.
wait list, and it blew up way faster than I thought it would. But it shows the need, and we're just excited to be able to start to provide those experiences. So we're very close to funded for the round one of them, and we're trying to do 500. And we're very excited to start to celebrate people's lives in different ways.
Is it so? Is it a birthday in a box, or do you guys go there and create like a in-person experience? Like what's involved?
Both.
Okay.
I'm really wanting to do more. I love in person as much as I can. I want to. And so local ones, I want to do essentially replicate what that company is doing. So going in, setting up, doing the birthday party for them. But the idea is for these 500 other ones that are across the nation and in the UK, we would send them basically a packet of a birthday gift in a box, similar to our Connect and Comfort kit, slightly different. I know Laurette is providing her products. Mirador Magazine has some of hers. So we've partnered with the community to provide the products inside. And then also providing decorations. And the one thing that I wanted was a handwritten card from someone in the community. And so we probably have a couple thousand right now that got donated, and schools are getting involved. It's very cool. And so it basically is like a birthday experience in a box that they can set up decorations, have the gift ready on when they wake up or during the day, and just celebrate their birthday. So
That's really incredible, Luke. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I could see that leading to, prom. I could see, almost like, kind of revamping Make-A-Wish, but for our seniors.
yeah,
You know?
I love the idea of just celebrating people in different ways. That's kind of the idea behind it. And we were already brainstorming. My brain's always going with ideas, but Christmas, Thanksgiving, like there's
Yeah.
parties on it. There's all different holidays that we could do a party for. And so I think it's a very cool thing that I kind of just stumble upon, but it shows a need.
And I could see you adding a whole new section to the Resents Register, like, like a party section, and just do like an article and pictures from whatever the event was that you guys helped to put on or something. Yeah, that's really cool. So what would you say is your ultimate goal for both the foundation and your other products? Like, what's the end goal for Luke Gilligan and Resense?
Yeah, I think I kind of touched on it a bit. It's impact. I really want to see change kind of within some of these care communities. Some of them are amazing, and I love partnering this and working with them. But also some of them need more resources and for their loved ones or for the individuals that are there. And so being able to provide products that engage these individuals, again, make connections with the family members and learn from this experience, that's kind of the end all be all goal. And I think with all of our products, it ends up being that. With the Connect and Comfort Kit, it's sitting down with your loved one and doing a coloring book or doing our flashcards. With the birthday box, it's celebrating their birthday on their birthday. And I really love that idea of seeing family members, maybe it's even community members coming together to celebrate these individuals who sometimes are overlooked, and provide them with a way to feel loved and that dignity back is
Sure.
kind of the big the big goal for us.
I think for me, one of the biggest words is dignity, because especially for our loved ones and individuals living with dementia, the uneducated, unaware, and I don't even think it's intentional, they almost treat them like a child. And I just think through education and awareness, that lack thereof, that awareness, the dignity gets lost. And I think once they become more aware, they become more educated about it, I think it helps them to maintain that individual's dignity and respect. But so I want to also touch on this. When you're sitting down and you're thinking about these ideas, or maybe you come across an obstacle, and we all need help, we all need advice at some point, no matter how big or great we think we are, who do you turn to?
Yeah. I have the one thing I'm blessed with is an amazing support network on the business side of things. I go to this Grove City for entrepreneurship, and we have what's called the Center for Entrepreneurship Innovation. And
I see the sign behind you.
yeah, the director, I'm sitting in what we call the zone, which has become Resense's office. But the director is one of the most knowledgeable people I've ever met, and she is there for me whenever I have an obstacle or whenever I need help on the business side of things. But when it comes to products or understanding, sometimes I get an email saying, "Hey, this didn't go right, and we want help figuring it out." And being able to work with dementia experts, or I know I just had a call yesterday with Laurette from Nana's Books talking about, okay, how can we make publishing better? How can we? And so I have people that can mentor me, and I love asking for help. I think that's always the best way for me to learn, because I am a visual, hands-on learner. And yeah, I have two sides of an advisory board, I guess I would call it, for me. And it is very comforting to know that basically I can send an email and within a day get help on something.
Okay, wonderful. Real quick before we wrap up, I want to talk about Resents Register and the foundation. So for viewers and listeners who may just now becoming aware of these products and what you have to offer, where do you want them to go is the first question. And can you discuss what the cost is associated with getting a subscription to Resense, and if they can't afford that, would you walk through how the foundation might be able to help them?
Yeah, absolutely. So resenseregister.com is probably the best way, or resensebox.com, either way gets you there. Gets us to our main page on our website, and from there it will guide you to where you need to go. So if you're looking for the newspaper, it's easy access. Right now, the newspaper individually, if you just order one, costs around $3 to $4. It's on our site, and you can kind of see what a subscription does. If you sign up for certain things, you get discounts, but it's around that price. And then for care communities, if you order in bulk, we have tiered pricing, and we love to work with you on that. And so there's an email on the main page again, and send me an email and we can start that conversation. And then at the top, it says Resents Foundation. Again, when you click on that, it will lead you to donation links or get involved. And so there's emails for anything in contact us pages. And if you ever have any questions or would like to potentially receive the newspaper, the nice thing is we do send out as many samples as you want to be able to test it, to see if your loved one will utilize it. And so send me an email and I'll be able to work with you on pretty much anything. And like you said, if you can't afford it and you'd like to get the foundation involved, send me an email. We can start that conversation.
Sure. Do you mind sharing
Yeah.
your email so we can put it up on the screen?
It's luke@resensebox.com.
Perfect.
RESENSE.
Before we close, Luke, and thank you for sharing your story and your obvious passion with us today. I'm fond of asking this question of people, because I think we all have ideas in our heads, but none of us really know the future. But if you and I, hopefully we'll stay connected and be in touch much sooner than this. But let's say we didn't speak to each other and we ran into each other at a Pittsburgh Pirates and Atlanta Braves game, because the Braves are my team. And I said, "Oh, Luke, how's it going? Where would you and Resense be 5 years from now? What is your vision right now? What is your target?"
I would love to be a media company. So right now we're on newspaper, but I would love to have a broadcast channel doing replicating TV. Right now we're working on a podcast that's replicating the classic radio. Any way that you can engage in media, I would love to replicate in a dementia-friendly form. And I think that's kind of my goal right now in 5 years is to get the company to where it is, or partner with companies like Mirador who are doing magazines and books, and see how much we can engage these individuals in different products. Because the newspaper is great, but there's TV, there's a lot of other ways to get engaged. And I'd love to see Resents get involved with those.
And I'm sure you will. Luke Gilligan, the CEO and founder of Resense, thank you so much for your time today, Luke.
Thank you so much for allowing me to share.
All right, you're welcome. Have a great day. Thank you for joining us today here at All Home Care Matters. All Home Care Matters is here to help families as they navigate these long-term care issues. We invite you to visit us at allhomecarematters.com, where there's a private, secure, fillable form where you can give us feedback, show ideas, or if you have questions. Every form is read and responded to. And remember, you can listen to the show on any of your favorite podcast streaming platforms or watch the show on our official YouTube channel. Just make sure to hit that subscribe button so that you never miss an episode. We'd also like to say thank you again to Luke Gilligan of Resense for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you next time here at All Home Care Matters.
Thank you for joining us today. We look forward to you joining us again on another episode of All Home Care Matters. To learn more about the show and to connect with us, visit us at allhomecarematters.com.